Remember Mr. Patches? Remember Mr. Patches from the Uncle Al show? That's right. There's a TV show. There used to be a children's TV show back in the 70s in Cincinnati called the Uncle Al show, starring Uncle Al. There's the main character on the show. His name was Uncle Al, and back in the 70s there's a character on the show named Mr. Patches. That's right, Mr. Patches. His real name was Tom McGreevy. Mr. Patches, that's right. And he always used to hum like this. Hum. And he would always say magic words before it. That's right. He had magic words. And actually his magic words were an Eastern mantra. That's right. He had magic words that Great, Firefox is locked up again. What else is new? So, he had the magic words: Om Mani Padme Hum. Those were his magic words. And those magic words that he would say before humming were actually, they were an Eastern mantra. That's right, they were. And I didn't even know that until just a few years ago. I just thought it was, for my whole childhood, up until I was probably about 30 or 35, I just thought that it was something that Mr. Patches made up. I just thought those words were just something that Mr. Patches made up himself until I saw an episode of King of the Hill where Bobby on King of the Hill used them. It's an Eastern mantra that Mr. Patches adapted for westernized audiences on the Uncle Al show. That's right, he did. And they mentioned him on IMDb. He even has his own IMDb page because he's a very famous actor. I know the actor that played Mr. Patches was in one of my mom's soap operas that my mom used to watch. So that's the story of Mr. Patches. And I remember this was like back in the 70s when Mr. Patches was on. He was on Uncle Al back in the 70s, and even later, even after he was gone from the Uncle Al show, people still talked about him for years. According to the internet, Mr. Patches is now 82 years old. He has been seen on TV shows such as Dallas. He is 6'2" and he is 82 years old. I guess that's the same guy. But anyway, even when I was in grade school, which was after Mr. Patches left the show, people still talk about him. Like I remember one time we were in the basement in grade school, and one of the teachers said something about the refrigerator humming. And then one of my classmates went, hum. Just like Mr. Patches. Just like that mantra that Mr. Patches adapted for the Uncle Al show. So Mr. Patches was cool. He really was. He was one of the greatest characters ever in the history of the television industry. And remember the Uncle Al show? The Uncle Al show? You remember Uncle Al from the Uncle Al show? He always wore a flat hat, like the type the type that is associated with political campaigns. He used to wear a hat like that, and he always played an accordion. He was always playing an accordion. And I remember remember the show Real People. There was a spin-off of that in the early 80s called Real Kids. And I remember there was a segment once on Real Kids. And guess what the segment was about? It was about bubble gum. That's right. They had a segment on Real Kids about bubble gum. And it had a bunch of people bubbling. And Uncle Al was in it. It was either Uncle Al or somebody that looked like him who had a show like that in some other city. But I think it was the Uncle Al, though. He was actually on nationwide television in a segment about bubblegum. And he was standing there and he bubbled. He bubbled in front of millions of viewers. And he was standing there playing his accordion and dancing from side to side and bubbling. He was going, dancing from side to side like what the gum fighter used to do. Like, remember? And he was playing his accordion, and he bubbled on TV. So that was the story of the Uncle Al show and Mr. Patches. And there's even some stuff on the internet about old Mr. Patches. There's a picture of him. There's a picture of Mr. Patches on the internet from 1976. He was on the cover of the local TV magazine. It came with the newspaper. It came with the Cincinnati Post. It's from January 17th, 1976. So that's a story of Mr. Patches.